So let's start with lesson number one. And by the way, most of these lessons are going to be things that are pretty standard. You're going to know them. They're classic. But I hope that these act as reminders for you to help you out. And the first one is called Assume Good Intentions. And I first heard this message in a Mel Robbins audiobook. I don't know if you know Mel Robbins. She wrote the 5-Second Rule. I'm a big fan of hers. She's all about taking action, right? And she said that people are, people generally are good. People generally want the best for you. And in fact, I also found it in this book right here. It's called You Can Heal Your Life. And I want to just read you a quick quote from it. It says, which of these statements sounds like you? People are out to get me, or everyone is always helpful. Each one of these beliefs will create quite different experiences because what we believe about ourselves and about life becomes true for us. Now, I'm going to give you a couple of examples of this in real life. Assume good intentions. Let's start with one that I know will apply to everyone. When you're driving down the road, you can't hardly drive for more than, say, 20 minutes before another driver irritates you, right? Like, tell me if I'm wrong, but the world is full of terrible drivers, right? There's people driving slow in the left lane. There's people on their phones, and it can be incredibly irritating. The old version of me hated texting and driving so much that I would literally pull up next to people and yell at them if they were on their phone. I told my son, I said, let's take pictures of people and shame them on Twitter. Like, I was mental, right? And no one in my family even wanted to ride with me because I would get so irritated. But having learned this lesson, some things changed for me. After absorbing this for a while, I found myself in having this unique experience where I was driving home. I had my mother-in-law with me in the passenger seat. We were just coming home from a doctor's appointment. Neither of us were in a very good mood. And this person drove by me at, I swear to you, 95, 100 miles an hour. They were a maniac, right? And my mother-in-law, from the passenger seat, just like anybody else would, said, he's crazy. She got all mad at him. She was yelling. Like, that's what a normal person would do. For whatever reason, that day, I decided to assume good intentions. And I looked at her and I said, maybe he's got a sick little girl at home. And I heard it come out of my mouth and I'm like, where did that come from? I was like, or maybe, maybe he's got a pregnant wife in the passenger seat. Maybe that person has a really good reason for driving so fast. Now, here's what's important, guys. Whether my mother-in-law was right or I was right is irrelevant. Our experience of that situation was different because of the way that we portrayed that other person's intentions. He probably was just being a jerk, but I was over it. In fact, I never even got upset. I was over it almost immediately, and she raged about him for at least 5 minutes. So the same thing happened to both of us, but because of this lesson, I experienced it in a peaceful, happy manner, right? Now, how can this apply at work? Think about that person that you work with, and maybe you don't work with them now, but at some point in your career, you probably worked with someone that was always kissing up to the boss, right? Maybe they brought in donuts and they were brown nosing, or they always had a better idea at every single meeting, right? And you can tell from the tone of my voice that I'm irritated by that person. They're a brown noser. Maybe they're trying to get the promotion that I want. But the reality is that if you shift the way that you see that person, and instead of seeing them as out to get you or out to brown nose or out to steal your job, right? If you see that person as someone whose intentions are good, then your own experience of that will actually be improved. Doesn't matter if they really are a backstabbing brown noser. If you see them as a nice person who always has great ideas, as a person who brought donuts, and I love donuts. Who doesn't love donuts, right? If you see that person with good intentions, your experience of them will be different.